Hello, this is the Bible in Pure Words. We are Carol and Steve Wells. This is episode 10, A Bowl of Lentil Soup. Genesis chapter 25. Hi, Steve.
Well, hi, Carol.
It's not like we're not right here next to each other.
No, it's not.
Are you going to start?
Sure. Okay, here's verse 1. Abraham took another wife, whose name was Keturah. She bore him 6 sons, Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Sua. Or Shua, I guess.
Those are interesting names.
They are. There's a lot that's interesting there. First of all, Abraham taking another wife. He's a very old man by now.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, it turns out that he's about 140.
Uh-huh. He now can
He
do whatever action he has.
He didn't have to ask God for help. And he had to ask God for help
To have sex.
when he was 100. Yeah, he and Sarah were kind of laughing at God when he was saying that they were going to have kids. Yeah, I'm an old man. And she was saying, I'm going to have sex with him. I'm an old woman and he's an old man. Well, now he's 40 years older, and he's still able to do it. In fact, he's able to do it several times. He has 6 sons, and it doesn't say how many daughters he had, but he must have probably had a few.
Probably. You know, in the Bible, daughters, wives, sisters are rarely named or even talked about.
Right. Yeah.
Concubines are pretty important.
Yeah, I once started counting up the number of daughters that were born compared to the number of men. I mean, the number of boys, and also named and unnamed. But it got kind of tedious, and I never completed that project. It would have been fun to complete. Anyway, another thing that's interesting here is that Keturah is called Abraham's wife here, but in other parts of the Bible later on, she's referred to as a concubine.
Mm. So, can a wife be a concubine?
I don't know. The distinction is not very clear in the Bible. What is a wife and what is a concubine? Because
now I'm remembering Isaac when his manservant found a wife by the well.
Right.
They just came home and just went in the tent.
Yeah, you just go in a tent, and that's how you get a wife.
That's
and
what you would do with a concubine.
You might do it with a concubine too. So I don't know if there is a distinction here, but sometimes she's called a wife. Sometimes Keturah is called a concubine.
Okay. Abraham died when he was 175 years old. He gave everything he had to Isaac, except for some gifts to his sons who were born to his concubines, who he sent away to live in the East Country. Okay, so when you have a concubine, you don't want them to be hanging around.
And also here, to his concubines, it says.
Yes.
Now, this is the first concubine that's mentioned as a concubine. Hagar was a slave woman that belonged to Sarah, and she's not referred to usually as a concubine.
No.
She just was hanging around and available.
And so she's the one that Abraham had sex with, who's the mother of Ishmael.
Ishmael, yeah. That's right. And then we have Keturah here. And Sarah, of course, was a wife, and Keturah is referred to as a wife. But here we say he gave some gifts to the sons of his concubines. So he must have had several more, or at least one or two more wives or concubines that aren't mentioned in the Bible.
So, do we know if he gave anything to Ishmael?
I don't think so. He gave him a bottle of water
and bread when they left.
Some bread when they left.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay. Isaac and Ishmael buried Abraham in the same cave in which Sarah was buried.
Yeah. So they got together. Isn't that nice? The two last time, because when they last saw each other, Ishmael did something that Sarah didn't like, and they were kicked out.
Uh-huh.
I don't think they've seen each other since, but they get together here to bury their dad.
Mm-hmm. Okay, your turn.
Well, the next section is the generations of Ishmael. So this is going to discuss the sons of Ishmael and I think also his grandsons. I left that out.
Oh, you left that out?
Yeah.
You left out some verses for
I did. I'd leave out lots of verses, and those I left out.
Okay.
Okay, this is verse 21. Rebekah was barren. So Isaac asked God for help to get her pregnant. So God made her pregnant, and she conceived twins. God said to Rebekah, 2 nations are in your womb. The older will serve the younger.
Hey, Steve, can we stop there?
Uh-huh.
Because Isaac and Ishmael are bringing Abraham to the cave with Sarah so they could be there for eternity or whatever. And then we have the generations of Ishmael, and now we're the birth of Isaac's sons. So Isaac married Rebekah. She was the one by the well.
Yeah.
And then they are married, and he now knows that they can't have kids. How long have they been married?
Good point. So this is one of the things that we tried to figure out in the last episode, and we messed up, was how old was Isaac when he was married? And we figured it was 27 because, well, anyway, we misfigured it. Is that he actually was 40.
Oh, so 40 years old.
40 years old when they got married.
Okay.
And now, when he's 60, they are asking God for help to get pregnant.
So they spent 20 years trying to have a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Or just had girls.
Maybe they just had girls, yeah.
Okay. God said to Rebekah, 2 nations are in your womb. I guess that's kind of the language to say you have 2.
Oh, it's more than that.
Twins.
He's saying that you've got 2 important kids in your womb, 2 important boys, and from them are going to come nations. Their offspring are going to produce whole nations, like Canada and Mexico.
Okay. And the older will serve the younger.
Yeah.
Okay. That is just
So ordinarily, the older would be kind of the boss. But in this
Yes.
case, the older is going to serve the younger. So it sounds like the older nation is going to serve the younger as well.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to take over here. Is that okay?
Okay.
So verse 25. Esau. Esau? How do we say that?
I say it Esau, but I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced.
Okay, Esau is the first to be born. He was red and hairy all over. That sounds like a kid's joke. What's black and white all over? When the other came out, so that's the second baby, I guess.
Yeah.
He grabbed onto Esau's heel. He was named Jacob. Esau was a hunter, while Jacob was a plain man who lived in tents. A plain man. Like lived in the plains?
No, I think it's just kind of a regular old guy.
Oh, not red and hairy. Okay. Isaac loved Esau because Esau was a hunter and Isaac loved venison. That's kind of a weird reason to love someone.
It is, but he really liked venison, and Esau was a hunter.
Okay. But Rebekah loved Jacob. Oh, so we have split parents liking different.
Yeah.
Okay, so red and hairy all over.
Right. So they must not have been identical twins.
No, I guess not. All right. Your turn.
Okay, verse 29. One day, when Jacob was making soup, Esau came in from the field. He was tired and hungry, so he said to Jacob, "Please, feed me some of that soup because I'm tired and hungry." Jacob said, "Okay, if you'll sell me your birthright." Esau said, "Well, since I'm about to die of hunger, what good will my birthright do me?" Jacob said, "Swear to me." And Esau sold his birthright to Jacob for some bread and a bowl of lentil soup.
All right. A birthright. What value does that have?
Well, it has everything. Because Isaac is a wealthy man, and he's gonna inherit everything that Isaac owns and all of his power and authority and all of that. He should, because he's the older son. He came out first. And Jacob was later. He came hanging on to the heel after Esau was born. So Esau should have should inherit everything. But here he is selling his birthright to Jacob for a bowl of lentil soup.
Because he figures, I'm just so starving, I'm going to die.
Yeah, I think maybe he wasn't entirely serious here. Well, just joking.
But then he did swear.
Well, he did, yeah.
He swore to him. And last time somebody swore to somebody else was to find Isaac's wife. Is that right?
Right.
And it was the servant,
I
the
think
oldest.
this one doesn't count because he didn't put his hand under his thigh.
He didn't what?
He didn't put his hand under his thigh. Right? He's supposed to put his hand under his thigh when he swears. So that's the end of the chapter, but there is one thing that we didn't mention here.
What is that?
And that is that not only does Rebekah love Jacob, in both the Hebrew scriptures in the Old Testament and in the New, it says that God hates Esau.
Hates?
Hates Esau.
That's a pretty strong word.
Yeah, it is, but that's the word that's used.
Okay.
God hates Esau, and it doesn't
like
say...
that's the word
it doesn't
you
say
use?
why. No, that is the word that the Bible uses to describe God's feelings toward Esau. He hates him. He hated him.
Okay.
And it's said twice in the Old and New Testaments.
And do we know why God hated Esau?
It doesn't say anything about why. It may be because he was red and hairy. It just doesn't say.
Okay.
Maybe it was because he sold his birthright for the bowl of lentil soup.
Oh, so he just thinks he's not very smart.
Well, it just doesn't say. So
Okay.
I don't know.
And how about Jacob? Who loves Jacob?
Well, Rebekah loves Jacob.
Oh yes.
And I think we'll find out later that God does too. But this is how they all got their start.
All right. Well, thanks for explaining that to me.
Sure.
Okay, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. See you next time.
Bye-bye.